Good morning, everyone. Welcome to ModGolf Live. I am Colin Weston, host of the ModGolf podcast, and obviously host of ModGolf Live also here on our YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me today. I am trying to get my energy level up since I got back late at a flight around midnight or 3 in the morning from Montreal when I got back on a plane after the President's Cup for a couple of days. So, yeah, what a time I had there. We're going to talk about the format here today, just as far as the future of the President's Cup, along with so much more. But I just have to start here with what I've been doing here for many, many weeks now. Hard to believe this is our week 15 now in a row here for doing ModGolf Live. And hey, I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us live, jumping on afterwards, and watching our YouTube channel here and helping us grow. And just allows us to have these great conversations with the influencers and people that are making a difference, having an impact in the golf industry. And today is no different. I have Ted Simons joining us today, who is the founder of Synergy Group. We're going to take a deep dive into so many different areas in the golf industry because Ted has that experience. But before we do that, I'm going to start with a little something I've been doing the last couple of weeks here, and that is my Monday morning musings. This one may not be as long today because my voice is already starting to go here. I think that's from screaming for the last 3 days in a row here, trying to support the best that we could, the international team, being Canadian. Hey, I've got to support the international team, right? You got to do it, even though it's kind of weird. It's like, who actually are them? Are they a bunch of misfits of the rest of the country? We're not Europe. We're not the USA, obviously. So it's the rest of the collection. So it's almost like the orphans. And I know they've been trying really, really hard to actually create some identity and a brand around that with INT. And I've got to tell you, Ted probably got a bit of a laugh being an American. We're trying really hard to kind of get some energy going. Everybody cheering INT, INT, INT. And we're doing this and we're trying real hard. I'm thinking, I don't think that's striking a lot of fear in the hearts of Scotty Scheffler and the gang there. I don't think they're shaking in their boots with the INT chant. So maybe they need to do a little bit of rebranding, which actually is part of what Ted does. He does many things. He's a brand guy also. I'm going to put him on the spot where Ted's in the background here off stage. So maybe Ted could come up with some better branding for the international team because I think they need it. I think they need it a little bit. I was going to show you a few things that of the kind of the videos that I shot, a little bit of content that I put out there. But hey, if we want to see some of that, please go over to our ModGolf Instagram. I did some fun things over there. My favorite I did there, because I'm not going to cover the actual tournament. There's people that do it so much better than that. I always like to do behind the scenes stuff the best that I can and talk to people. Let's get out there and have a conversation. And one of the fun ones that I did, because there are people out there in their cheerwear, repping their country, or I guess the rest of the world, or 5 countries, or whatever we want to still brand the international team as. Some great cheerwear. And I got to say, of course, as always, the Americans, they come out in full force there, especially on the Saturday, and they dress to impress. So I did one little quick video montage of all the people dressing up there, which was super fun. One thing I did want to mention here before we get going here is we just launched season 16 of the ModGolf podcast and just released our second episode late last night. I did that from the Departure Lounge in Montreal. But just before that, I did release our first episode, which was or is with Petra Himmel with golfsustainable.com. So we had this awesome conversation about the future of golf, how we can balance golf as far as not only being better for the planet, but also better for business. And those two things are not mutually exclusive. So we had a great conversation with Petra about that, all these different aspects of what the golf industry is doing and where it needs to go, and the insights that she has as a journalist based out of Germany, actually, but a golf journalist for over 25 years. So she's got some great insights there. And speaking of people that have more than 25 years of experience in the golf industry and so much more, and that will be Mr. Ted Simons, who I am going to bring on screen right now. And there he is. Ted, good morning. Well, good morning from Vancouver. You're in Scottsdale, right? So good morning still for you.
Absolutely. Yep,
There we go.
It is morning. We're on the same time frame.
Awesome. Well, welcome to ModGolf Live, sir. So did you watch a little bit of the President's Cup?
I watched a little bit of the President's Cup. I enjoy good golf, so it was fun when it felt competitive. The 5-0 sweep was like, oh no. And then the comeback for five straight, and it's like, okay, now game on. And that to me is like, okay, great. The juices are flowing. Yeah, let's spend a little time, taking a break from the outside weather here in beautiful Scottsdale as we hit triple digits again. But but yeah, I did watch a little bit of it, and for me, anytime we can play match play, I'm all in. I'm all in.
Nice, nice. So we were there on the not on the Thursday for the 5-0 drubbing by the US over the international team. We were out playing a round of golf. I flew in later Wednesday night from Vancouver and met all these guys that drove from Toronto. They all went up there. So we had a dozen guys. So you can just imagine the mayhem and the brain cells we lost there with maybe a cocktail or two too many every single day for 4 days straight. So yeah, so we played ourselves on the Thursday, went on the Friday. So yeah, the Friday was great. The energy, they came back, but we already said to ourselves, these guys, because we were also booked and we had tickets already to go to the Saturday matches. And we said, it's like, if it's going to be 9-1, 10-0, even 8-2 after Friday, we were going to go play another round of golf. But the fact they came back and tied it up 5-5, so that energy level was great there. But of course, ultimately, the US, the team is so strong there. The depth, even forget about all the live players they actually don't have, which would have made it even stronger. But yeah, the fact that the international team kind of hung in there a little bit, the best that they could was pretty great. But yeah, ultimately, as a sports property, I'd like to get your insights, because my understanding is the PGA Tour owns the property. They're the ones that created this. Is that off year? Of course, with the Ryder Cup is the Ryder Cup, and we all love that because it is so crazy competitive. And it seems to me like the President's Cup is kind of the poor cousin, if you will, of the Ryder Cup. Or maybe it's almost like a AAA team, if you would, as compared to the show. So yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Just as far as yourself and your background, not only in design, which are going to get into, and all the things that you do, and learn a little more about you for our audience here, Ted. But I'd like to get your thoughts on where you think that maybe they can tweak it or overhaul it to make that better, or maybe even go out there, maybe they should scrap it. So what are your thoughts on that?
I don't think it should be scrapped. I think the golf audience would love to see more of this type of event. I think it's watching the same. I'm not going to call it the same old because it's different players, but the same format Thursday through Sunday, every week. I think gets a little bit tiresome for the majority of even I would call myself seasoned, veterans out there watching the game, let alone the new audience. It has to be entertained in a different way. So I like the international concept because it does put a little more light and the opportunity for players from Canada. I
Right.
loved having three Canadians out there. It gives one, they qualified, but two, it gives the country something to get behind and cheer for. Having the Asian players, which is incredibly good marketing because that is a massive market that should never be overlooked and
Yes.
actually should be embraced, maybe even more. So I like the mix. It's just tough to compete against the U.S. players right now. I mean, no matter how you slice it up, whether it was even bring in the Euros, bring in the Live, the U.S. players are just tough right now.
Yeah, they are. Okay, before we can continue on, I just want
But
to take a
but
deep
one
dive.
one but one thing I did
Go
like
for it.
is somebody. Yeah, I mean there was a fair amount of banter about turning it into a mixed event.
Right.
Bringing in LPGA players or LPGA K players or J players or whomever it may be. Um, I think there's some validity to that. Again, it's bringing eyeballs to the game, and I hate the term, and I'm sure we can spend a little time talking about grow the game. I'm not a grow the game guy. I'm a sustain the game. Um, sustain the game by broadening our viewer audience, by bringing in those that want to watch the best female players in the world play on the same stage as the best male players of the world. And from an international standpoint, I think that would be, to me, that would be compelling. I'd probably tune in a little bit more.
No, well, I can definitely agree with that, because the first thing we ever did in the golf industry before myself and my business partner were even in golf at all, more than 13 years ago, and that's when we created this event format called Ripped Links. And these are 3 par 3 holes. Drop it into Huntington Beach in the middle of a city. Have a tournament, kind of Cirque du Soleil style, more like a Red Bull action sport, but it was men and women competing at the same time. And from day one, that's where we were going with that. And we were working with Topgolf to make that happen a few years ago, and then created something else instead. And now you see what Tiger and Rory are doing, even though it's the technology side, there's no women involved. But from day one, I've always said, hey, if you can bring the men and the women together, meet people and fans where they are, rather than trying to pull in those new fans and give them things they already like. And it sounds like that's what you're talking about on the sustainability side, rather than grow it and just find those people. So I love that, that you're kind of going there with the same mindset also.
That's frightening.
Well, for now. Hey, before I'm going to ask you to give an overview for everybody that's watching here, we've got almost 10 people, half a dozen people bouncing in and out here. So, hey, just want to say hello to all of them. Welcome to the show. And hey, please ask us a question as you learn about what Ted's doing and what we're talking about today. If there's anything that you're burning questions about the golf industry, about once you learn about Ted, hey, just put it out there, because we want to make this live and interactive. And that's what makes it fun too. We've got this opportunity here, rather than, and to be honest, that's the reason why I created ModGolf Live, because I love the podcast. I love the content we create on YouTube, but that is a one-way information flow, that it's not in real time. The fact that here we've got an opportunity that, hey, if you want to ask us some questions and take the conversation in a different direction, don't ask me questions like, how is my liver doing today? Because I think we already know the answer to that one. But ultimately, yeah, let's make this live and interactive. So, hey, Ted, why don't we start here? I'm going to pull up for you the, so I do have this saved here. There we go. So we take the other things off screen here. So I pulled up for Synergy Group here. So with Synergy Group Consulting, why don't you tell us about what you're doing? Tell us about yourself and a bit of your background here for everybody that's watching.
Well. We don't want to go that far back. You already dated me at the 25-year thing, but
that was a compliment.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Sustainability. That's what we're talking about here.
Right.
Yeah, I go way back. I've always been a sports person. Growing up in Utah as a baseball player, but my dream was to go to work at this one particular sporting goods store.
Right.
And once I got there, then my next dream was I wanted to become a ski rep. That to me was those were the cool guys of all time. And so I got close. I was helping some ski reps, but of all things, I got hired by Rosignol when they started their tennis division, which most of the audience probably didn't even know Rosignol was in tennis. But we got into tennis, eventually merged ski and tennis. I got my dream of working for Rosignol in the ski industry. And, as somebody that, I don't know, doesn't want to do one thing for too long, I decided I didn't want to be an old rep at the ripe age of 35, and entered the world of film and video production, sports marketing, and eventually opened up Synergy Group Marketing in 1992 with a focus on sports and resorts, keyed in on sporting good manufacturers, which is where Synergy Group came from, was tying together what the company wanted, the agencies were creating, and really what the sales force and the consumers were needing, into a cohesive, integrated marketing package. And that continued on for many, many years. Got into golf, tennis, obviously ski, big into fitness, and eventually, kind of everything came together, and I got introduced to Nicklaus Academies, who were running Jack Nicklaus's academies around the world. And I had the opportunity to go and represent Mr. Nicklaus for 18 years. And that's where I got into, I would hate to say I designed that facility, but I certainly had my hand in that design of that golf project in Hong Kong. And that's, did that for 18 years and visited 54 countries, opened 28 academies. And COVID changed a little bit of that model.
Right.
Because I was spending 25% of my time, if not more, in Asia. And so that's when I started Synergy Group Consulting, which was really the culmination of everything I was doing for Jack, everything I've been doing on the marketing side, the integration of technologies for our coaching studios, and really just putting it together, instead of just being a marketer, being a consultant, to use this, I would call, a wealth of information as best I can, however I can. And most of that remains focused on golf, which I'm very appreciative of. And I believe I have some things to share with the golf industry to make it better, and just not grow the game, but enhance the game, and make the sport more enjoyable. And even once in a while, light bulbs go off in my head that I never thought would, and I change how I think about the game of golf. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Now, love that. Thanks for that overview. You managed to encapsulate many, many years and bring it down. Because I have to say, I've had some guests on, and it would take them 20 minutes to explain it. So that was very succinct. Thank you for that. So I'm really curious to learn about your formal education as your background. Because what I love here, yourself as an entrepreneur, even though we've got different ingredients mixed up and we're both in the golf industry, you longer than me, that I did definitely not start off in that area. I formally trained as an architect and worked in that area, got into sport architecture and stadium and venue design. And then at that Olympic game level with event design, that kind of led to the first things that we did to golf and kind of went from there. So it's not this straight line, and opportunities present themselves. You meet more people and you learn more things and more things that interest you. So I'm curious, with your not straight line journey here, where did you start? So what was your background originally, or what did you go to school for?
I went to the University of Utah thinking, that somebody out there in the baseball world needed a good defensive second baseman that could not hit. That doesn't play well. But I went to the U. I call it the U. Right. Other people will maybe fight that, but I went to the University of Utah to go into marketing, and I just fell in love with retail sports and the vision of I want to be a ski rep, and I left without a degree, and so I'm the I'm the poster child for real world education.
No, I love that. And so many people I know, even young people that I know, they get paralyzed, that they think they have to make a decision right away, and that's their path. And sometimes this get overwhelmed and don't make a decision or know what to do and get paralyzed. And I can tell you, I'm old enough, got enough gray in this beard here. I just turned 60 a couple of weeks ago. So when I went to school, whether it was high school or even studying architecture, there wasn't even a thing called, like, what was a podcast back in 1991? I wasn't sitting there going, maybe I should go to podcast school, or even entrepreneurship programs didn't exist back then. So yes, just learning as you go, meeting people, try new things. And if something doesn't work out, stop doing that and do more of this and try other things. So I just love the journey that you've been on here. So as far as the facility designs, we can go back to the Synergy Group Consulting website in a minute here, but I want to ask you, why don't you just talk about some of the recent projects that you worked on? Because I saw a couple of them on there that look really great. So hey, why don't you tell us about some of the things you've done recently, and then we're going to get into what excites you for the future.
Recently, and this is a little bit where, a mindset change, right? And I just, I've written a couple of articles recently, but I was brought in by a golf course architect as the driving range consultant, which is sometimes where I get, focused on. And I got introduced to a municipal golf project in Southern California. Um, 18 hole par three, 1960s putt putt course with castles and a windmill that didn't work. A pretty good driving range in the world of driving ranges. A clubhouse that was half shut down, possibly condemned. A small chipping area, but we're out there as experts, right? And I'm watching groups come out and they could care less. They could care less what we thought about anything. They're paying their money. Some of them are carrying clubs in their hands. Some have got a full bag on a trolley. You got men and women. You got boys playing a little money game. The golf course was not overly exciting, which is why the group was there. But people were just having fun. Did they keep score? Maybe. Did it matter? There's a guy chipping with his dog who was there for his 5th birthday. The dog's name was Bogey. And, this little Yorkie is sitting there while dad's chipping, just having a great birthday. And it's 1:30 in the afternoon and the range is 65% full with more slices than hooks, more tops than trajectory, but people were just having fun. Nice. And I walked away with, I'm of the mindset of the best, right? When you represent the GOAT, and people may debate the GOAT, whether it's Mr. Nicholas or somebody else. But your mind is always, at the highest level. Performance is first and foremost, protecting the brand, enhancing the brand. Right. And I walked away from this project going, damn it, I'm missing something here. People are just having fun. And that's what we need to, not everywhere, but certainly as an industry, look, what are we doing? Why are we making the game so sophisticated, so relevant on what grass are we using? What's the stimp meter running today? Where did the sand come from? Create fun projects. If anybody came out, they'd probably condemn this putt-putt course.
Right.
And we went and played it. By now, the concrete holes are about, the size of an ice cream carton.
Right.
None of the windmills moved. The carpet was a little stained. But there were families. There were mothers with, it looked like neighborhood children. We went and played it. I think we were a group of 9 consultants, right? We went and played it, and it was hard. It was really tough.
Really?
But it was fun. We had a little team bet going on because you always have to have a little side thing going. But I walked away going, this is just fun. So no. off track a little bit, projects I'm working on. But I'm working on, for instance, a golf park concept, 3 different sizes for India.
All right.
Land in India is very difficult to assemble. So, to put together 160, 185 acres to build a full golf course is, I wouldn't say impossible, but very challenging.
Right.
Yet, how do we find 15 acres, and what do we do on 15 acres, or 12 acres, or 5 to 8 acres? Because there's a growing middle class there that would love to get into the game of golf, but they don't have an opportunity. It's still a very elitist sport, very expensive, and it's the sport cannot grow because of its limitations. So create these golf parks, and it can be high-tech driving ranges. It could be simple driving ranges. It could be 3-hole, 6-hole short courses, great short game areas. Create what is allowed, on the land that's given to you within the demographic you're in. And if it's up and coming, somebody working at the Intel factory in the middle of Ahmedabad or somewhere, Hyderabad, they're being paid and they have leisure time. So give them a nice quality golf entertainment experience. Others, how do we introduce the youth to the game? Which should be the growing focus for all of us. How do we introduce more women to the game, which I know is a topic you hit on often? Create and design facilities to match the demographic, match the marketplace, to take them, which is another conversation. How do we transition from the driving range golfer to the green grass golfer? We as an industry, and I throw my name in there, we have not done a good job. We embrace Topgolf as introducing so many new players to the game, but their next opportunity is an 18-hole championship golf course.
Right.
That is miserable. The experience is not fun.
Yeah.
So I did not answer your question, but that's there you go.
I love the segue. I love. Hey, we're not about straight lines here this morning. Here, it's all fine. It's all fine. But now that you mentioned Topgolf, I wanted to get your opinions on this, because I've read a couple articles lately on the business side. And with Callaway, it sounds like they are going to, or they've managed to divorce or pull apart the two entities between the equipment side and Topgolf, where they acquired them for between $2 and $3 billion a couple of years ago during COVID. Had already invested 18% in the company many years ago, so they already knew what they were getting into. But the mindset always was, and you touched on this, Ted, of that conversion from getting 20 million, 25 million people a year playing at Topgolf facilities, that they, through the surveying they've done, that 50% of those people identify as non-golfers, never picked up a club before, or play maybe once or twice a year. So getting them through that funnel, that marketing funnel that you know so well, of how many can then we convert to actually buy our balls and buy our clubs and get on a golf course for a green grass experience. And that conversion, I think it sounds like from the numbers, they managed to talk themselves into the story that was what was going to happen. But once the rubber hit the road and they had the analytics and the numbers, that wasn't actually happening. So from what I've understood, that Callaway stock has definitely gone down, and they like I said, pulled those two entities apart. So what are your thoughts on that? Is the whole, maybe with Topgolf, maybe this is just in the US because there's other competitors out there now that the technology is all digitized, rather than the ball that they had with the RFID that was their barrier to entry, that no one else can do it. So what are your thoughts on that level of golf entertainment? Is that saturated? Is that kind of hit that tipping point now that maybe we need to look at something else with these smaller, more compressed venues? So yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Is that truly the case? That is Topgolf the kind of the canary in the coal mine, that maybe golf entertainment has kind of hit its peak, or do we just need to look somewhere else to activate in a new way?
One, I don't think the Topgolf model is broken. I do not believe they evolved enough to keep golfers engaged.
Right.
It's the same experience, right? You hit the same balls with the same clubs, eat the same flatbread with a cold beverage.
Yeah.
And if you're a good player, you will go, if invited, with friends or a company. But you seek out a Topgolf to go hit golf balls, even if that's your only alternative.
Yeah.
As a non-golfer, I think they go and they have a good time, and some will go, I would like to do more, but nobody ever thought about what that pathway is. And I'm not on the inside of Callaway's mind, obviously, here. But to just think that they're going to buy our equipment because they had a good time hitting golf balls, I think is a little short-sighted. Um, from what I know, talking to, I would say, former top golf instructors, they didn't really have much opportunity to uh, take players from that top golf experience to the next level, which is, how do we get them to green grass?
Right.
What feels like the head off of turf. So I think, and I've always, and even to this day, whether it's in India or Southern California or wherever it may be, the programming has to be in place to transition players one way or the other. And it's the reverse of that even. How do you take a good player, a competitive player that maybe doesn't have the time anymore or is not physically able, but would still love to go out and play the game of golf? Do we have a program in place to transition, a broken down 60 something year old into to still go play the game of golf, to still go hit some golf balls and feel the enjoyment, but they don't want to go spend 4.5, 5.5 hours, and here in Arizona, $250
Right.
pleasure of being miserable.
Right.
I think there's a missing link here between transitioning the top golfer to a green grass golfer, and back and forth. And I think there's a missing link also where, and I don't want to share all my ideas here because I actually have a project. How do you, create a performance first, entertainment second facility?
Right.
You're hitting real balls at real targets, and it's a place that you or I would want to go hit golf balls to work on our game. And you would spend the time, you would spend the money, you would probably have a beverage while you're hitting some balls because it's convenient. Um, and you'd play some virtual golf, you'd play some tournaments if provided. So I think facility operators need to think outside the box of what their market is and how the hell we can possibly grow this thing. Yeah, you said it.
No, I love that. I was thinking when you're talking about that conversion or lack thereof, I was thinking myself because I'm a golfer, 15 handicap, actually 16 now. It's going up. It's going the wrong direction. So, but I love to play. But bowling, I bowl maybe once a year, maybe once every 2 years, and it's with friends or it's for a party or a family getting together. And we just go for fun. I don't afterwards go, I'm going to buy my own ball. I'm going to buy one of those like arm grip things that the pro bowling tour guys have in my own shoes. I'm not walking out there going, I got to buy myself a ball. It's like, no, I'll be back in 2 years. Maybe I had some fun. Maybe I got a couple of strikes that were completely accidental, even though I pretend like I actually know what I'm doing here. And yeah, there's no conversion there on that. I think Top Golf managed to talk themselves into a false narrative there. I'm sorry, more Callaway did also. Hey, gonna jump in. We actually got a couple questions here. Let me bring one up on screen here. Let me get rid of a couple of other things here so it's not too busy on the screen. And hey, we got our friends from Neighborhood National here who we had on the show just a couple of weeks ago, and all the good things that they're doing there of creating around the country of people that own their own simulator at their house and then creating community around that. And they become a host. It's kind of like the Airbnb for simulators and setting up some leagues. So, hey, we got here we go. Hey, fellas, Ted, what do you see as the key limiting factor, or maybe a couple relative to sustaining, growing the game, how that's changed? Oh, it's kind of a big question again. And you've talked about a few things on this, but hey, since we got making this live and interactive, why don't you give your thoughts on? I'll leave that on the screen there, Ted.
Okay, one, I do understand the model for Neighborhood National, and I fully embrace what they're up to. I think it's fantastic. One of the and I can go back a number of years here is one of the things that why do you play golf? The more fun you have, the better you play, the more fun you have at the game of golf.
Yep.
If you play like crap, the fun level is not very high unless you're just out there, having beers, and even then, you still want to play well.
You do.
Okay, so if you want people to enjoy the game more, they need to frickin' learn how to play the game better. It's not that hard. And I espoused this for almost 20 years. This I regurgitated this in my sleep probably. Mr. Nicholas, he has a famous quote about, people talk about his golf course as well. If you want to, if you want to have fun, learn how to play better. It's not my fault. My golf course is hard. You learn how to play better. You'll enjoy my golf course more.
Pretty simple equation. Yeah.
Yeah, but the same thing here. So if you look at, I would call the burgeoning business of indoor golf, right? The Koreans cracked that code years ago, and we all laughed and said, nobody wants to play screen golf, as they call it in Korea. Now, missed that one again. But the same type of things going to occur. Other than now you got high rent districts with really beautiful places, and in the case of Neighborhood National, young mid-age old entrepreneurs going, I'm going to put one in my garage, my band cave, whatever, and create a business or a game out of it. But give people the opportunity to learn how to play the game better. Okay, which I can talk at length here too, but there is a opportunity to take live virtual lessons, so you can take a golf lesson from a golf pro in a live setting from inside of your simulator. So it could be snowing in Massachusetts in December, and your golf pro can still be teaching you all a Zoom form factor, if you will.
Yes.
But with the advent of, you can now capture your swing, have it played back live while you're on the call with your coach, and it's the same as if you're on the lesson tee or in the coaching studio. So the company's called Golf Live, and they've got this fantastic technology that takes time and distance away from golf instruction. So if I'm here in Scottsdale and I want to go meet up with Mike Malaska, he's an hour drive.
Right.
Okay. He spends 45 minutes getting to the golf course. I spend an hour getting to the golf course. We get there, we spend an hour. I give him a cash, and I turn around and drive an hour back. Now I've spent 3+ hours, a lot of money. Where I easily could have done that from the comfort and the coolness of my home.
Right.
And Mike could have done it from the comfort of his indoor studio at his house, and had the same experience. So I think to grow people's enjoyment and sustain the game, to keep people playing more and having more fun, because if you're 15 going to 16, you're going to need some work. It's going to be more fun to say you're now a 12, or to get to the point you say, I'm single digit. It may be 9.98, but you're single digit. You're not going to get there just by going out and playing more rounds of golf. You're going to need a little bit of help. So take advantage of technology that exists out there, and you can do that anywhere, anytime now.
Yeah, I agree. And you talk about sustainability, and obviously you want to talk about environmental sustainability, just having that ability. Think the fact, both of you to save driving for 3 hours. If you even want to look into that, if you multiply that by tens of thousands, then, every little bit helps, right? Then all of a sudden, and also the time. A lot of people forget that time is our most precious commodity. Like you said, 2 hours of your 3 hours would have been spent just getting there and getting away from that. So there's also
I'm able to, I've got a favorite guy of mine from my years past, and he's in Shanghai. We can talk, the same as you and I are talking here, but he can go, okay, go take a swing. I can go take a swing. He records it. We play it back and do a full analysis. Scottsdale to Beijing in real time. It's real, and it's there. So I think that is one opportunity that we can take advantage of.
Nice. Well, hey, we're already over time here, and we can talk for another hour. So I think You have no choice now, Ted, but you're going to have to come on at least once every 6 months or so. And because I think I've just barely scratched the surface of of the nuggets of wisdom and the depth of knowledge you have in the industry. And we hadn't even talked about the whole marketing side of the industry too. So perhaps we got to get you back on for that conversation on ModGolf Live if you're willing to tee it up again for us here.
Absolutely, Colin. Absolutely.
Good stuff. So before we go, you may see on the bottom of the screen rolling there. So a couple things that we have there with ModGolf that hey, we've creating this community since day one. That's really what I'm about here. Why I created the ModGolf podcast almost 8 years ago, and then on YouTube a couple of years ago. So now we've got our Patreon page, which we have where hey, if you people out there, if you join us on there, it also helps us out here making this talk about sustainable that it just makes it a little more financially sustainable so we can actually pay for the production costs. So what I can do is as a scrappy independent here doing the good things in the media space to support the golf industry is we can do more of it. So hey, if you want to join us on our ModGolf Patreon, and the other nice side too is we give away free stuff. We have golf giveaway contests all the time. So hey, if you want to meet some awesome people and win free things, join that. The last thing I'll ask too, also here on YouTube. Hey, if you'd, I encourage you to follow us here. We're almost to 1,000 subscribers, which means that then we unlock some monetization too. So it just once again helps kind of cover some of the costs and pay a little bit and help grow the community and do all the good things that that I love to do. So with that, hey Ted, thanks so much for joining me today on ModGolf Live. Like I said, I know full well this is the first of many conversations. Who knows? Maybe I want to do some guest hosts. Maybe you want to guest host and bring some friends on. Maybe that'll be a good idea.
There you go.
Well, you're certainly a lot smoother than I am, especially today. I think I have to end because my voice now, after the 4 days at the President's Cup, my voice is completely shot. So I think it's time to shut this edition down. And again, Ted Simons, founder of Synergy Group Consulting. Ted, it's great having a chat with you. Thanks so much for joining me on ModGolf Live today.
Thank you, Colin.
All right, just hang tight for a sec. All right.